What's up, everyone? I'm gonna do another stories from the trail video. This one's gonna be a little bit different because I'm gonna document a road biking trip in Colorado. So I got invited to this trip and I couldn't turn it down. It's 7 days of road riding in Colorado, and if you've seen my channel, you know that most of what I do is mountain biking. But I do some road biking. I've kind of have an interesting relationship with road biking. I gave it up for many, many years, but just picked it back up last year to really supplement my race training. So I'm out here in Colorado, driving down I-70. Still snow in the mountains. It's July, and we're gonna do some really cool rides. So I'm gonna document this road riding trip from a mountain biker's perspective, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so I'm standing on Loveland Pass. It was an 8-mile climb from Keystone, and yesterday we rode around, just warm up, Keystone to Frisco. There's a ton of paved bike trails around the ski areas between Keystone and Breckenridge, and I think you can go all the way to Vail. It's pretty cool. So we did some of those, but today was the first big climb. We're going from Keystone to Georgetown over Loveland Pass. It's about a 2,500 vertical foot climb. Not too bad. It's just you gotta set a rhythm. It's not like mountain biking where you got hard efforts and you rest a little bit and hard efforts. It's just one steady effort. You try not to redline it. So pretty neat. Get some background here. So it's under 12,000 feet. We started at about 9,000, about 9,200, I think. So go down to Georgetown. But good ride, beautiful up here. Kind of starting to get above the tree line. It was about 65 down in Keystone when we started. It's about, I'd say it's about 50 up here right now. So jacket's further to set for sure.
So we finished our first big day of riding. It was a little hard to hear me because of the wind up on top of the pass there. But as I said, we had climbed 8 miles and then descended 17 into Georgetown, and then kind of got some food and rested and headed back. So we had a 17-mile climb. I've never climbed that long in one straight shot, and so I was pretty toasted when I got to the top, and then we got to drop down 8 miles back down to where we're staying. So I've only been at altitude here for a little over 24 hours, so I came from sea level. Felt a little tired the first day. This morning I had a little bit of a headache, probably the altitude, but I think I'm getting adjusted. I tried not to push it too hard. I tried to keep it kind of just tempo. But what was really cool is, I had mentioned in that earlier video about the bike paths, there are just so many paved trails, and one of the ones we did went for 5.5 miles, and it descended pretty good, and of course we had to come back on it. So that was really cool, and it's kind of through the forest, and you see rivers and everything like that. So it's kind of like a mix between road and mountain biking. You get that feeling of being on a trail, but you're on a road bike. So I think a lot of my subscribers are mountain bikers, and I don't know how many of y'all road ride, but this is pretty epic. Obviously I favor mountain biking, but if you ever get a chance to do a road bike trip, or just ride somewhere like around Asheville or out here in Colorado, it's pretty cool. It's different than mountain biking, but the scenery's still awesome, and it's pretty epic. So that's the report from our first big ride. All right, I'm on the ski lift, my first shuttle day ever with my downhill bike. Rented a Giant Glory 2. They had a few different bikes. They had Konas and GTs, but I went with a Giant since I'm most familiar with the Maestro suspension. And with my buddy Mike from New Orleans. What's up, Mike? And we're gonna do a shuttle day here at Keystone, Colorado. And again, I'll let you guys know how it went from a trail rider and cross-country rider perspective that's never done a downhill day. So this should should be fun. Alright, my first day of downhilling is done, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on it when I get back to the room, get showered. But this is the bike that I use, a Giant Glory 2, and 8 inches of travel. And what took the longest getting used to, two things. One is the tires are really high. I'm like 45 psi, and that's so that you don't pinch flat on these rocks, because Keystone is pretty rocky. And also the you know, it's no all you guys know this, but the head angle on these bikes is really slack. So that was the other thing that took a while getting used to, coming from cross country and trail bikes. You know, these head angles are made to roll really fast through stuff and keep it stable. So that took a while getting used to, but I'm gonna go back and get showered, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on it. Okay, so my first day of downhilling is done, and it was a lot of fun, Upper body workout like you wouldn't believe, especially getting in consecutive runs for about 5 hours. We got in about 6 runs total. Each run took about 30 to 40 minutes. And your fingers and forearms and shoulders, really, you just have to stop and take a break. Gives me a lot of respect for you guys out there who race downhill, because that's, man, it's a really good upper body workout. Not quite the leg workout that a cross country race would be, but upper body and skill is a good workout for sure. It's something that, if you guys if you've never done it and you ever get the chance to do, it's something I'd really recommend. Really works on your skills. It's just so cool to ride a type of bike that I've never ridden before. It did take some time getting used to the way the bike handled. Like I said before, the tires being pumped up rock hard, you don't get as good of traction. There's a lot of loose over hard pack kind of stuff here, but really rocky, really rooty. One thing I learned about downhill bikes today is that they're really set up for the big hit stuff. Some of the chattery, just small stuff, didn't really feel any more plush than my trail bike. But the big rocks and roots at high speed, that's what they're made for. Really enjoyed the bike. The Giant Glory, I think, never ridden any other downhill bikes, but I liked it. The head tube kind of was making some noises, but other than that, the bike was fine. So I rented all the pads and everything, the chest protector, back protector, shin guards, full face helmet, all that. So, because you don't want to lose it coming down a hill at speed, especially with all the rocks. There's just a lot of rocks here at Keystone, and you lose it, you're probably going to land on a rock, and you want to be fully protected. Fortunately, I didn't have any crashes, so that was good. But it did probably improve my skills today, and it's amazing what a downhill bike can do. I mean, you're coming into a section with drops and rock gardens and tight trees, and you just lean back and have confidence in the bike. Especially rock gardens, you get some big chunky rocks, and you can just fly through those on those downhill bikes. So really cool. Got a big day coming up either tomorrow or the next day, depending on the weather. We're going to do a ride called Mount Evans. The road, it's the highest paved road in America. It goes up to 14,130 feet, and you can hike up a few more feet above the parking lot. But it's a 28-mile climb. We start in a town called Idaho Springs and climb for 28 miles, 7,700 feet of climbing. It's pretty cold up there, so you just kind of shoot some pictures, put on your jacket and gloves and everything, and head back down. So probably be in the 30s or 40s, so I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm rested for it, not having a hard pedaling day today. But again, really glad I did the downhill thing today on this road biking trip. I couldn't have passed it up being right here at the base of the gondola. A little pricey to rent the bike, the pads, they'll get a lift ticket, but one of those things that you got to do. So I'll let you guys know how the Mount Evans ride goes. So yesterday was our Mount Evans ride, and started off the day feeling kind of sore from downhilling the day before. And just as a side note, I've kind of thought about doing a kind of mountain bike downhill vacation sometime, similar to a ski vacation. But I don't think you could do that, because downhilling consecutive days, if you're not used to it, I think you're going to be pretty sore. I've done ski vacations where I've skied, 5-6 days in a row and been fine. But downhilling, my wrists were really sore, calf muscles were a little sore, shoulders, but really it was my wrist. So they kind of hurt when we started the ride. But the Mount Evans ride, we started in a town called Idaho Springs, and you take Colorado 103 and go up to Mount Evans. It was pretty foggy the first part of the ride. It was real foggy around this lake called Echo Lake, which is about 14 miles up. Then you go past the ranger station and start the last 14 miles up Mount Evans. Kind of cleared up, and it got beautiful. I mean, just gorgeous. About 11,500 feet. The tree line was where the tree line was, so the trees disappeared after there, and it was just open, rocky road. And Mount Evans is the highest paved road in North America. It basically just goes to the top of this mountain. It's only open probably 3 months out of the year. In fact, the final top portion only opened up a few weeks ago, and it's July. So I would imagine, probably by September they start to get snow up there again. I felt good at the beginning of the ride. Once we got above 13,000 feet, I started to not feel that good. I kind of felt queasy, and really my head started to hurt. The last couple of miles were hard. That was a hard ride, but the view was absolutely spectacular. We were above the clouds, so you could see a lot of clouds in the valley, but it still had some really good views. Just an epic, spectacular ride. I mean, you could do it on a mountain bike for sure. Take a little bit longer, but the descent is kind of rough. We put on jackets and gloves. According to the lady at the ranger station, the wind chill factor at the top was 19 degrees. It didn't feel that cold to me, but the sun is pretty intense. But we had to put on jackets and gloves and everything for the descent. The road is pretty rough at the top. That road takes a beating in the wintertime, and I think they have to do a lot of maintenance on that road in the summer. So it's not a real fun descent. You're cold, and you're having to really concentrate. There are no guardrails. There are some points that drop off over 1,000 feet. And I'm going to show some video of that ride at the end, particularly the climbing. My GoPro camera kind of filled up and I couldn't really film the descent. But you can see from the climbing, just a real, you have to be really alert, really attentive. You can't just let it go and have fun. It gets a little bit better as you get back down to where the tree line is. But just an epic, epic ride. Today we did a ride from Copper Mountain up to Vail. About 4 miles of climbing and then about 14 miles of descending, and then you got to come around and climb back up that 14 miles. And that's kind of a rough climb. There's some steep sections on it. But, this video series is called Stories from the Trail, Stories from the Trails. And, even though this is a road bike vacation, we're doing a lot of bike trails. This ride today was predominantly bike trail. And when you hear bike trail, you kind of think, just city paved bike trails with a lot of people, a lot of traffic. This is probably one of the most scenic rides I've ever done. And again, it's a trail that's only open to bikes and pedestrians, but it goes along rivers. It's in a valley. You've got mountains on both sides, just lush green Colorado mountains just towering above you. It's epic. I mean, if you do it on a mountain bike, road bike, it doesn't matter. It is just a gorgeous ride. And, we got down in the Vail. Vail Village is huge. It's like a maze. There's so many shops. It's really commercialized, but it's still kind of cool. To me, I've never been to Europe, but it seems to have that kind of European ski village type feel. So we had, some lunch and then headed back. So really, really good day of riding today. About maybe 4,500 feet of climbing total. So not as bad as yesterday. Yesterday was almost, I think it was about 7,000 feet, the Mount Evans climbing. The Mount Evans, it's 28 straight miles of climbing. And, Again, the altitude being at 14,130 is really can be tough to deal with if you're not used to it. Most of us, I think, probably don't live at 9,000 feet like where we're staying. So it's just kind of hard to get used to the altitude up there. But got one more day of riding. Tomorrow is a really tough ride. It's probably the second toughest next to Mount Evans. It's got just as much climbing, not quite the altitude. Only goes up to about 12,000. So I'll let you know how that one goes. All right, I wrapped up my final ride of this cycling vacation, and we did a ride that started in Georgetown, Colorado, and went over Guanella Pass, and that is a really rough ride. The road is a chip seal road. You've got about 12.5 to 13 miles, very steep chip seal road. Beautiful pass at the top. There's hiking trails. You could probably mountain bike on those, and then it's a chip seal descent until you get probably 5 or 6 miles from the end, and then it turns dirt, and they're actually doing road construction, so it may be paved in the next year or so, but it was gravel and dirt. And so obviously being a mountain biker and cyclocross bike rider, I was pretty comfortable with it, even though it was kind of rough on a road bike, especially when you're descending. But a beautiful ride, a river flowing by it. So then we climbed back up and went back down. When we were coming back down, it started raining, and it rained on and off the whole descent, about 12 to 13 miles, and it was 45 degrees. So that's cold, especially for July. You're used to the summer temperatures back at home. But it was a pretty epic ride. Got some great photos. So in this whole trip, I climbed around 34,000 feet total, rode about 320 miles, not including the mountain biking day, the downhill day. But the cool thing about this trip was it wasn't a testosterone fest where guys were just trying to beat each other and, going off the front. Guys just set their own pace. It was about the scenery and taking pictures. Yeah, the climbs were really hard. But, I didn't go out every day and just try to push it to the limit. It was, really, when you're riding day after day, it's hard to ride the next day if you've really pushed it hard the day before. I was tired every day after the ride, but once you get into the groove of riding each day, it's amazing how you adapt, and you can just get up and go again the next day. So all in all, a really great trip. Lots of good rides, lots of good scenery. So hey, thanks for tuning in to this Stories from the Trail, and I'll see you in the next one.